You are now logged into Raw United Starseeds at www.cosmicchild.ning.com.
This evening we will continue with the Aton lecture series, and tonight we'll be discussing the meditation on the Aton, fundamental practice of Aton meditation, and the processes that we need to go through to follow the technique. It is a wonderful training, as you will see. And the two major aspects of Aton meditation are devotion and wisdom. So they go together in the practice of the meditation itself. You have a devotional aspect that transforms itself into the wisdom aspect. The devotional is doing the altar ritual, so forth, and the initial phase of the meditation, which then, that is a devotional, which then transforms into the wisdom aspect, and that is what is gained in higher levels of the practice. So in a meditation structure, devotion leads to wisdom. And that's how the Aton meditation is constructed. So we'll begin. And this evening's lecture is titled Aton Meditation, the practice of devotion and wisdom. And firstly, we need to discover what we need to do to practice meditation, and we need to find out what basically, this is not intended to be an exhaustive lecture, but basically what is meditation and what is devotion. Devotion is a process by which a human being opens their heart to God, to the divine self. It means transcending your love aspect from your fundamental or your basic relations, and that love then transcends itself to other elements of the universe, other plants, animals, other human beings, and forests, oceans, rivers. Your love for the universe should be growing as you develop the capacity to develop true love, what true love is. And then that love expands itself, and this is an inward expansion now, expands itself into the divine self. So in other words, you start to learn how to love God by loving God's parts. God's parts are the universe. Nebuchadnezzar, her parts, his parts, are the universe. So the planets, the animals, the trees, and so forth and so on, other human beings. And you transcend that and you start to love the divine. The reason why that is instrumental in the spiritual evolution of a human being is that the filial love that we have, or that you can have for your close relatives, that is actually a contracted form of love. That is a form of love that is blunted, and that actually is tied in with sentimentality and attachment. So therefore that kind of love is skewed. When your love transcends your filial relations and expands into the divine self, then your love becomes dispassionate and detached, and that is a true form of love. Once you can do that, then you can truly love your close relations because you sever the attachment and the sentimentality, and you go to the core of what the loving capacity is within you, which is have an association with a profound level of compassion and understanding. And this is how a human being, the positive development of a human being, this is what should happen in your personality. And all people who aspire to enlightenment, who achieve enlightenment, this happens within them anyway. And that is what's supposed to happen within you as you start to progress on the path of discovering the divinity that you are. So then, how does that love lead to wisdom? Wisdom means that you have an experiential understanding of the teachings and what the teachings say. In other words, you have a one-pointed experience of divinity, of Nebuchadnezzar, and that wisdom is what stays with you. That is the pure wisdom of the nature of self, and that is what you're trying to develop. But love leads you to that, because if you're loving God, then God reciprocates. And actually what you're doing is that you're loving the innermost essence of yourself. So you discover what the self is through the devotional aspect of the awakening of your heart, the opening of your heart. So wisdom means that you transcend the time and space representation of the world. For example, there are physicists that do what I call subatomic particle experiments, where they take particles and they collide them. Subatomic particles, talking about a very smallest unit of, it's not really matter, but for the basis of the top, smallest unit of matter, and they collide them at high speeds, and they disintegrate them upon collision. The scientist who is performing the experiment and observing the experiment is actually is a participant, because his or her own consciousness is perceiving the experiment, and therefore that person has an experience of the relativity of the universe, or the relativity of matter, the relativity of time and space-time. And that is a wonderful experience to have, but that is not the same experience as a mystic transcending time and space and delving into the absolute. It's a different kind of experience of the relativity of the material hemisphere. So the point of all of that is that the wisdom of the physicist gaining that is a high intellectual attainment, but it's not the attainment of experiencing yourself as the essence of the pure divine self. You follow? If you're an observer of something, that means you're still separate from it at some level. Although you're observing it, and through your observation you're having an experience of it, but that's through your observation. There's a difference between having an experience of something that you are observing and becoming that which is, and therefore it's unobservable because you are it. And that is the wisdom that mystics aspire to. And that is the whole process of the Aton teachings. That is what it's to lead to. So, how do you begin the process of meditation? Firstly, we are doing Aton Ua. Ua is the ancient Egyptian word that means meditation. It also intimates to think or to ponder. And obviously to think of to ponder divinity. And if you think and ponder something long enough, what happens is that you start to assimilate that which you are thinking or pondering on.